Hello, Night Nation. I'm Trace Trulco, joined by Adam Eaton. Welcome to Sons of UCF Live. Adam, wind's kicking up. Our thoughts go to everyone in the path of this hurricane, but we're glad Night Nation can join us tonight for Sons Live. How you doing?
I am good. Everyone stay safe out there. A little wind, a little rain, some tornado stuff, obviously, but everybody stay safe out there. Thanks for taking some time to join us, and we'll make it worth your while tonight. We've got an action-packed show. We've got what's in the box. We've got your questions. We've got some clips tonight, Trace. Probably the heaviest clip show we've had in a really, really long time. We'll talk to a Colorado insider, and of course, our own Coach Lounsbury will join us, and a little family dynamic off the top of the show, Trace. A lot happening. You tuned into a good show, everybody. So sit tight, enjoy the opportunity tonight. Let's talk a little UCF football as we get ready for this weekend.
Well, night's coming off the bye week, Adam, but genuine buzz around these parts. UCF 3-0, 1-0 in the Big 12, hosting Colorado. You may have heard of their head coach, Deion Sanders, and Fox covering that game 3:30 Saturday nationwide. And, of course, their pregame show coming to campus as well. Feels like a lot of buzz around this game. Most high-profile home game on the schedule.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had this kind of buzz, I think, for a home game, Trace. And, rightfully so for UCF, a great opportunity to get a win in the column, start 4-0 in the season, 2-0 in conference. For Colorado, obviously, I think they're fighting for bowl eligibility and opportunity to kind of make their mark in what many assume is Shador Sanders and Travis Hunter's last year. So a lot on the line for this. Deion's going to bring a lot of eyeballs. UCF and their offense going to bring a lot of eyeballs to it. So probably the most hyped game we've had since that 2018 College Game Day experience, but it should be a fun one at the bounce house. Really a matchup of contrasting styles, right? UCF wants to run the football and they want to be able to sort of pound the rock. Colorado is probably more prolific through the air. I think on both sides, the defenses haven't been strong in those areas. So it's going to be that sort of test of, who can do what they do better than the other team on Saturday. But overall, it should be a good matchup. I know a lot of folks are excited about it. I saw ticket prices are way up there. So hopefully we'll get a good crowd on Saturday.
Yeah, the crowd's going to be packed. I just wonder, and you and I talked about it off air, how much of the stadium is going to be seated to the Deion fanatics? Because I don't think Colorado has a lot of traveling fans. That's just my guess. And I don't get a sense that they're a lot of alums. Maybe I'll be surprised by that. And I'm not begrudging our fans for selling the tickets. Hey, I sold my tickets to Orlando City when they welcomed in Miami and Messi. But we're giving up some home field advantage, I think.
Yeah, I hope it won't be as bad as what we saw versus West Virginia. If anyone was there for that game last year, there was a lot of yellow in the crowd.
Country roads.
A lot of yellow, a lot of country roads being sung all over the place. Hopefully it's not as bad as that. But again, to your point, I don't know what to expect. I think probably a lot of folks maybe who are neutral, who just know the names of Shador and Travis and Deion. I want to see that happen live. Hopefully some UCF fans who maybe don't have tickets or buying tickets to get to the game as well too. So, I think having the home field advantage is a huge, factor for UCF, both the crowd noise and the weather. And hopefully, we can bring the crowd noise and make it a little bit tougher for Colorado on offense, maybe to get some of their signals and plays off.
Well, UCF head coach Gus Malzahn knows that this one is big.
Our guys have that chip on their shoulder, and like I said, we've got to seize the moment with an opportunity and playing a very quality opponent. It's one of the bigger home games we've had. There's no doubt about that. And when you throw everything from the crowd to the big noon kickoff to the recruits and everything, it's an opportunity for us as a program.
It most certainly is. Recruit tickets sold out for this. Everything's sold out for this one, right? It's going to be packed. A lot of buzz, a lot of interest, and big opportunity for UCF. I thought the stat that you pointed out earlier in the week, UCF 1-2 coming out of a bye under head coach Gus Malzahn, that has me a little concerned because the Knights have had time to prepare for this one, and I'd hope that they would use that to their advantage.
Yeah, that's obviously not a great stat. Prior to that, I think he was like 9-1 at Auburn and Arkansas State, so maybe there's something there. But yeah, you hope the bye week UCF had a chance to really study Colorado. I know Gus was asked in the presser, he watched the Colorado Baylor game, so he saw that live. Hopefully the players had a chance, the defensive coaches had a chance, and maybe you see a wrinkle or two, a little something different this week. Obviously, we'll talk to Coach Lounsbury about that, but certainly again, great opportunity. A lot of eyeballs are going to be on UCF if you want to be the future of college football, right? You want to get on this stage, and when you get on the stage, you got to perform and you got to win, right? So everything we've asked for is right in front of us right here, right now. It really just boils down to our game plan and the execution on Saturday. But you couldn't ask for a better setup, Trace, right? Like we want these opportunities. We want these matchups. We want these eyeballs. They're going to be there, come 3:30 on Saturday.
They most certainly are. And you mentioned it off the top of the show, family connections on this one. Those of you that have watched this show for a while know I have mentioned my nephew, who is a senior at the University of Colorado at Boulder. And we've been talking some trash. Man, I've been talking a lot of trash. And UCF and Colorado don't play again until 2026. So this one could linger for a while. Let me welcome in live from Colorado, my nephew, Kyle Jansen, senior at the University of Colorado. Oh, what is with the hat and the glasses?
We got to do it, baby. We got to do it. Prime time. Jesus. It's prime time. Got the watch ready to go. We're here. We're here, baby.
Kyle, I put out the call on my social media for friendly wager ideas, and I shared them with you, and you said, why do people want to hurt me?
I know. We're a little scared. We're seeing, a little solo cup action. We're seeing, a bunch of different things. I was a little too scared to do that stuff, but yes, definitely need a nice little wager.
Nothing will be inserted in any orifice. That is a guarantee. This is what we have agreed to between the two of us. You can drop in the comments if you'd like us to consider other things, but Kyle and I, one of yours, I don't know where you got this one. Eat a pancake for every point won by the other team. Why is this? Yeah, but you're that's all. You could be down 20 here. The line's 14-15.
I know. I'm confident though. I'm confident. We're gonna come out. We got Travis Hunter ready to go. We got Shador. I mean, we're gonna be passing all game, and we'll see. We just gotta, attack early. So I'm excited.
Another part of this wager is 10 push-ups for every point won by the other team. I'm confident in that. I'm doing push-ups every day, but I'm not worried about it because you're going to trail in this one. And wear the other team's shirt. You'd have to wear a UCF shirt on campus. I would have to wear one of those Colorado shirts on this show.
Oh, yeah.
Do not look forward to that for an hour.
That's it. That's what we want to see.
Adam, anything for my nephew?
Yeah, I'm in a tough spot here, Kyle. You're friends with Trace, obviously, your family. I want to be nice to you, but you're also wearing the opposing team's shirt. So I've got some confliction here. But let's talk about your Colorado fandom. Obviously, you're a senior right now at Colorado. Dream school of yours? How did you end up at Colorado? How big a football fan are you?
Yeah, so I lived in Colorado my whole life. So obviously, going to CU was on the list of colleges I wanted to look at, and then just being close by, I have a younger sister. So just being here, making sure I can be here for her when she's growing up. And then, always been, a pretty good football fan. Obviously, the first 2 years up at CU was a little rough, wasn't the best team. And then got Coach Prime and just, really got into it. So exciting to go to every single game. You have no idea what's going to happen, especially last week. It was pretty gnarly. So, that's what, super exciting. We got big noon kickoff, all that stuff. We got DJ Khaled supporting us this week, so, super fun for the school, for the fans, students, stuff like that. So, love being here, supporting CU.
Do you mind telling a story that you mentioned Colorado's had it rough? 1-11 2 years ago. You had a roommate that may have helped himself to an item on the field after this field storming. Remember that?
Yep. Yes. So, getting our first win of the season was pretty big for us. And, CU students love to storm the field after a win, as we all know. And
because it happens so infrequently.
Listen, last week was a big game. All right. That was close. The odds of us
all you got.
Super low. And, he went and had to steal a pylon from the side of the end zone and took that home with him as a nice little trophy. So, got out and
correct.
Say that again. Sorry, you cut out.
This is also the roommate that had various road signs in his room.
Various road signs. He's known for, stealing his stuff, but, successful. Went for the pylon, got in, got out super fast, and first win of the season, one to remember.
That was the only win that season.
Yep. It was a rough season, but we're back. Listen, we're improving. That's all that matters. We're going for a bowl game this year, and I think that would prove Deion's success is if we can make a bowl, hopefully win a bowl. So we'll see. This is a huge week for us, and this is really going to show if we are ready and have the capability to do it.
What's your final score prediction here? Oh yeah, go ahead, Adam.
I was gonna say, what's the excitement level on campus for this game? Obviously, Coach Prime has brought a lot of eyeballs to Colorado, right? A lot of folks are now paying attention. What's the excitement level for this game? Do people even know who UCF is, by the way, in Colorado? Is that like a thing, or do you have to explain to them based on your connections with your famous uncle here?
No, people definitely know who UCF is. I mean, obviously a huge school nowadays. It's just grown throughout the years, and everyone's ready to go, both black and gold. So everyone's going out, excited. And, Florida, the hurricane's coming. So people were a little nervous about that, talking, is it going to get canceled, moved, postponed? But looks like, it's going ahead. And, the team flew out earlier in the week. That way they could prepare down there and, fly out before a storm hits. So yeah, the buzz has been going all week. The DJ Khaled news of him supporting us, super exciting. We got the celebrities always in our corner. So, it's been talked about all week, and we're ready to go come Saturday.
You boys aren't ready for the humidity in Florida. I remember when you were a kid and you came to visit and you landed and you said, "Why is it on fire here?" That's how Colorado is going to feel, Kyle. What's your final score prediction?
It's going to be close. I mean, it's going to be within, 3 points. I'm thinking 31-28. See you, Boulder.
Gotcha. All right. My nephew, live from Colorado, Kyle Jansen. Thanks for being with us on Sons of UCF Live, buddy. Love you.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Good luck. Best of luck. Friendly wagers. So thank you guys so much. Everyone that's watching, make sure to like and subscribe.
Oh, look at this guy. He's a natural. He's a natural.
Kyle, what's your line? You're a what?
I'm a businessman, baby. I'm a businessman. All right.
There we go. All right. Thank you,
All
Kyle.
right.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Good kid. Good kid. Proud of him. He has turned his internship into a job offer upon graduation. And he'll be enjoying pancakes and push-ups and wearing UCF clothing on campus soon.
Yeah, I mean that's cool. Obviously, with them joining the Big 12, you have that connection now. Where obviously you were a UCF, fan alum. He's hopefully soon to be a Colorado alum, and so hopefully you'll have that connection for years to come. But I don't know what I root for you here, Trace. I know pancake seems rough, dude. Like that seems like maybe more Kyle. I mean, Kyle looks like he's still got some room to grow there. Still got some broad shoulders. Maybe he's still got some opportunity to put on some muscle there. I worry about you with the pancakes. You really need a win if that's the case.
Well, I'm hoping for a win. That's why.
That's
why I agreed to this.
You're gonna need a win because if not, it's a lot
That's
of.
Why I agreed to this. As we mentioned off the top, this one 3:30 on Fox. We had opportunity to speak to part of that broadcast crew, which includes Kevin Kugler and Allison Williams. But we had the chat with Brock Huard, who will be on that crew Saturday.
Brock, let's talk about RJ Harvey. When you cut on the film, it's not hard to see the talent he has. What do you like most about RJ's game?
I love his movement. I love his ability to change direction. I love his strength and power low to the ground. And I would honestly say he is the most underappreciated running back in all of college football.
I know you're an offensive guy by trade. I'm curious, how do you attack a cornerback like a Travis Hunter? What's the philosophy? Do you want to stay away from him? Or do you want to try to test him and see sort of what he has? Do you want to go near him, or do you want to cut the field in half essentially and stay away from him?
And I think Colorado is smart enough in this NFL D coordinator they got to know, hey man, we're going to pick and choose our spots. I don't think he's going to be on Kobe, right? I don't think they want him expending all that energy there defensively, and instead put him in a few other places where maybe he doesn't feel quite as burdened, so he can go do 75 and 80 snaps offensively.
Interesting, Adam. More of that interview coming up. When does it drop, the full interview?
Right after this show, Trace, 9 p.m. I also appreciate Brock wearing that Canaveral blue shirt for us today. He was broadcasting live from the visiting radio booth, so I'm glad he dressed up for the UCF occasion. But good conversation, 20, 25 plus minutes. Brock does a great job breaking down the game, talking about UCF, RJ Harvey, Gus Malzahn, what he's seen in Colorado. So 9 p.m. right after this here program, you can check out that interview with Brock Huard on our Sons UCF YouTube channel.
One thing he also mentioned after we had stopped recording is that if it's windy, he thinks that favors UCF. So weather could play a factor in this one. If it rains, you saw what happened for UCF in its running attack against Oklahoma State last year. And I'm banking on the humidity coming out of this hurricane to help Colorado wilt. I know they got some Florida guys, some Texas guys, but they've also practiced in Boulder, right? And they're used to that altitude. We mentioned Shador Sanders, the high-profile quarterback. He's one we caught up with, you remember when we were in Las Vegas just 2 months ago, and he had that connection, as you remember, with Gus Malzahn, Adam.
Yeah, there's a lot of love between the Colorado side, specifically the Sanders family and Gus Malzahn, and a lot of it stems from interaction with Coach Prime, Coach Malzahn, and Shador Sanders. I had a chance to literally run into Shador on the field in Las Vegas and ask him about Gus, and I thought we'd share more about what his recollections are of his opportunity to meet Gus back eons ago at this point. All right, Shador, earlier we heard your dad talk a little bit about his relationship with Gus Malzahn, and he mentioned you all had a good relationship as well. What's your relationship like with Gus Malzahn, Coach Malzahn?
Coach, I feel like he definitely believed in me. When I went to go visit him when he was at Auburn, he was another kid that was like a high-ranked kid, and he took us on the grass and he was like, all right, we just gonna prove it. Y'all gonna prove who y'all are. So at that time, that was when I was camp chasing, getting offers and visiting all these different schools before it was really popular like that. And then I still got the video on my Instagram, I think. Maybe, I'm not sure though. But anyways, yeah, I visited him. He put us on the grass. We in there throw for throw. Like, he out there making you compete, making you grind, making you do it. Then after that, it was clearly who was the better guy. But that's even before I even got polished up and been able to really get trained a little bit. So.
He knows Gus. Gus knows him, right?
I mean, that was a long time ago. We'll see. I mean, I think, Gus talked about him at the presser this week and what kind of quarterback he is. But again, you've seen a lot of, the mutual admiration society between, Coach Prime, Gus, obviously the Colorado player. So it should be an interesting environment on Saturday. I'm sure that'll change a little bit as soon as Deion takes a jog by all the recruits that are there for UCF. But it seems like before the game, everyone's saying all the right things.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about this one with former longtime assistant coach with the Knights, Paul Lounsbury. What are you wearing, Coach? What's going on here?
I'm
wearing
got my Citronaut shirt on. I'll wear anything I get for free.
Well, there's probably truth in that. There's some buzz around this one, isn't it? And as you heard Adam say, mutual respect.
And before we go any further, I want to allay the two of you your fears about being 1-2 after an open date. That has a lot more to do with who you play than it does anything else after the open date. So, when you're playing a tough team coming out of an open date, you tend to have a little tougher time than when you're playing a cupcake.
All right. So what do we have in Colorado?
We have a real team, a tough team, a very good football team, and probably some of the best skilled people in the country.
So let's talk about what have been some concerns on Knight fans' minds the first couple of weeks. Pass rush, 1 sack through 3 games. You see when you can get to Shador Sanders, 16 sacks through 3 games. He gets hit an awful lot too. What do you think of that matchup? The Knights have had time to prepare for him.
I like our matchup there, and I do like the fact that they've given up a lot of sacks, but it's a lot more about pressure than it is about just sacks. I think, and getting to him and hitting him, but always keeping him in the pocket. He can be deadly when he gets outside the pocket too. So stopping the run is number one always, and then I think containing Shakur is going to be a big part of this game plan. But we need to get more pressure on him, and but we also don't need to let him, when he gets out of that pocket and sets his feet, he throws it really well. So we don't need to let him set his feet anywhere,
Coach, he's also a load to bring down in that Baylor game, and they had some hits on him, and he just didn't go down. What's the coaching point for a quarterback of his size, of his strength, and making sure you get him to the ground?
Well, like anybody, you have to wrap up. You have to have good fundamentals in tackling, and I know that our defense does have good fundamentals in tackling. They work on it real hard. He's a big enough kid that you can't just take him high. You've got to tackle him around the midsection and legs, and you got to wrap up. But I'm confident that our defense can do that. I've been pleased the way our defense has looked. So, and I think if we have put pressure on the quarterbacks, even though we haven't had a lot of sacks. So I'm looking forward to seeing maybe we can get some sacks in this game. Their offensive line, 3 of those guys are transferred in this year. 3 of the starters, 4 of the backups have transferred in this year in the offensive line. So a lot depends on how well they play together too, and how healthy they stay.
Well, Coach, a lot of focus has been on the line and getting pressure, getting sacks, right? But with the quarterback like Shador, who can kind of break contain a little bit, what does that do to the back end? What does that do to the secondary? How do they have to respond? Obviously, having to now cover their man potentially for a couple of seconds longer than normal.
Well, I don't know that it does anything other than it just you can't make mistakes, you can't make mental mistakes or missed assignments, and then we do need to speed him up some too. So, but I don't think we can just turn it into straight pass rush unless it's for real pass situation. Definitely, we have to still contain the run and stop the run, and I think we do that really well. So I'm excited about how it's going to unfold. I don't have any idea whether we're going to try to heat him up with blitzes or try to just rush four and run some games or what. We'll probably have a mixture of all of that. I really don't know.
On Monday's media availability, Quadric Bullard said the communication was going to be key on defense because the Knights expected a loud crowd on their side, obviously. So that's interesting, right? That their communication on field during the game.
Yeah, defensively, it's a problem at home. Offensively, it's a problem on the road. So defensively, there'll be a lot of hand signals among those defensive backs. I'm sure they have a lot of keys about formations and where people are in the formation that will tell them what they want to be in, and they may have some adjustments that they make at the line of scrimmage defensively to address those kinds of things. But it'll have to be done with hand signals a lot because our fans will be loud.
What do you make of this Travis Hunter? A freak of nature, right? As an athlete, playing both sides of the ball, nearly every snap in every game.
He may be the best football player in the country. He's extremely talented. He's tough. He's got the, he's a hardworking guy. He's got the guts to do it. He's a special player, and he doesn't just play 130 plays a game. He plays 130 plays very well during a game. So
good point. Do you go at him? Do you attack him? Do you just go right at him?
I think it depends on where, like where he is in the defensive structure. It depends on what you see and what you're going to get. I think you run at him. I think you can do that. Throwing to him, it depends on who he's covering, really, and what kind of coverage it is. So I think we can get too overcoached on that, I think we have to play our game and not worry so much about their game. That's my feeling. Although he's a great player, we have to do what we do. We can't just react to him.
Coach,
he's got to react to us.
I'm going to cede one of my questions to our friend Andy here, who wants to know thoughts on going with a nickel/light box and forcing CU to run more than they prefer to.
I think that's a good idea, and I think you'll see some of that. Again, he's dangerous. Shakir is dangerous when he's running with the football outside containment, and if he has time to set his feet and throw, because it's almost impossible to cover those guys tight enough, and he's a very accurate passer when he sets his feet. Now, if he doesn't set his feet, I think he's a lot less effective. So if we do cause him to run more, we can't let him stop and set his feet before he throws. We have to make him throw on the run.
Let's flip to UCF's offense. Obviously, we know they want to run the ball a ton. Colorado, I think mid-90s. I think giving up 150 yards rushing on the ground so far this year. What do you expect from that offensive game plan for UCF? Do you think it'll be a heavy dose of RJ Harvey, a little bit of RJ Harvey, some Miles Montgomery, and then more RJ Harvey?
Well, I think what we've got is the number one rushing team in the country, and we're going to run the ball. And if they can stop it, then we'll have to do some other things too. But I think you'll see us run with RJ and all the running backs, and also with the quarterback and with wide receivers in motion. We're gonna run a bunch of different ways at them. So I'm excited about. I think our offensive line is going to do a really good job, and I think what happened in the TCU game is we wore them down, and I think we may be able to do that with Colorado too. And to your point, Trace, I think the humidity and heat can help us if it's hot and humid enough towards that end to wear them down as the game goes along. And I think that's the hidden benefit of being able to run the football.
During Monday's media availability, Coach Malzahn was asked about special teams, the kicking game. He said it's been worked on, and they better not see anything like that again. How confident are you that what we saw is correctable?
Totally confident. I've seen them. I've been at all the practices. They've worked on it every day, and they've got it right. So, there's always mistakes that happen, and we need to win the kicking game. We need to win the special teams play. But I'm confident that we've got all the problems that we had last time fixed.
This is all set up, isn't it? Coming out of a bye week, you had the great comeback win on the road at TCU. You returned to the bounce house, high-profile game. You can run the ball. They can't stop it. You got stars on their side. It's what you want as a football fan, right?
I hope they can't stop us. I don't think they can, but we have to go out and prove it. Turnovers are going to be a big part of this game. And I also think, penalties and missed assignments are key too. So those things are going to be a determining factor. I think we have a toughness with our football team. I think we are coached well in fundamentals. I think our team is playing together. And I'm assuming that Colorado's doing the same thing. But so then it's going to come down to those things like penalties and turnovers and big plays too. We got to have some chunk plays and try to keep them from having too many chunk plays.
Should be a good one, Coach. We appreciate you joining us again on Sons of UCF Live and look forward to talking to you about a win next week.
I'm for it, and I appreciate what you guys do and appreciate you letting me be part of this.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Talk to you soon.
You.
All right, Adam. I asked on social media, does a win over Colorado, this high-profile game, put UCF into the top 25? Nearly two-thirds, 62% said yes. I'm skeptical. Knight's only getting a couple of votes in these polls. What say you? Does the high-profile nature of the opponent get a few more eyeballs from media members and coaches?
I think so, Trace. I think especially if this is a game where UCF is dominating and sort of winning pretty handily, I think folks will kind of see, what UCF's building here. There'll be, one of a handful of teams undefeated and not in that top 25. So I think it probably gets them in there. Close win, maybe not as much. But I think if this is a wire to wire, sort of easily, handily win by UCF, I think they probably sneak into the top 25.
Wonder who UCF Mike is picking. It's probably wrong. He fell from 73rd to 76th in Pick'em. It's a big point spread, though. Have you put your picks in yet?
Yeah, again, I do the Trace Strelko model. When Mike and I do the show on Mondays while he's talking, I go in there and I make my picks, and that's about it. I am not doing any better than Mike. I think I'm like, whatever, he's 73. I think I'm like 66 or something. So I may divert and let my kids pick at some point because it's not working out for me. So I may just throw the white flag in here and just give this whole thing away.
Mike's best week, I think he said, was when he went the opposite of everything that he thought the first time. Let's take a look at what's going on in the Big 12 with Jeff Allen.
Week 5 brings us all conference games this week, and all action takes place on Saturday. The schedule looks like this. Number 22 BYU is at Baylor, 12 noon on FS1. Also at noon, number 20 Oklahoma State travels to number 23 Kansas State. That one is on ESPN. Kansas hosts TCU at 2:30 on ESPN+. Number 18 Iowa State battles Houston, 7 o'clock on FS1. It's Cincinnati versus Texas Tech, 8 o'clock on ESPN2. The Big 12 After Dark matchup pits Arizona against number 10 Utah at 10:15 on ESPN2. West Virginia and Arizona State, they have the bye this week. The Knights, as well documented, get some national love this week as the big noon kickoff pregame show takes place on campus at 10 a.m. on Fox, and later in the afternoon at 3:30 they host Colorado on Fox as well. The players of the week from last week are Utah running back Micah Bernard, who had 182 yards rushing in their victory over Oklahoma State to win Offensive Player of the Week. Tyron Bradley Jr. of West Virginia got our Defensive Player of the Week honors with 7 tackles, an interception, and a fumble recovery on a sack in the Mountaineers' win over Kansas. And the Special Teams Player of the Week was Parker Kingston of BYU with an electrifying 90-yard punt return as they defeated Kansas State. With your Big 12 Minute, I'm Jeff Allen.
How about this? Braves and the Mets battling for a playoff position. Jeff's a big Braves fan, and the game's rained out. So if it is needed, they have to play maybe a doubleheader on Monday going into the playoffs. That's not good for your pitching staff. Jeff, thank you very much. Well, we've been talking about Colorado all week, even some last week, right? Let's learn more about the Buffaloes and invite in Brian Howell, beat writer for Buff Zone, Boulder Daily Camera. He's good enough to join us on Sons of UCF Live. Brian, welcome in.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's talk about these Buffaloes. Why are they better now than they were a year ago? What have you seen different from this team?
Well, I think there's a few things. I mean, one, there's a little bit more stability in the program. I know a lot of people, focus on the transfer portal, and there was a lot of newcomers in the portal, but they also had a lot of guys that were back from last year, which they didn't have a year ago. And so there's more of a foundation. I think on the field, the defense is a lot better than it was last year, at least so far through the first 4 games. And, that's been a big difference for them. I mean, they were giving up 35 points a game last year. This year it's down to, I don't know what it is, 23, 24, something like that. So they've been a lot better defensively.
You get a sense, though, from that exciting game last week with Baylor. They're lucky to have gotten out of that with a win. Everything had to kind of go right there at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was a lot of things that even didn't go right before that pass. So, I mean, they started that drive. Shador got sacked on the first play. There was a holding penalty. They got the benefit of a couple of defensive penalties. And I literally had a story written about how they were losing this game. And it quickly went from, I can't believe they're losing at home to Baylor, to I can't believe they just won that game. So, yeah, it was quite a change in just a matter of minutes.
The ultimate stress for a writer. Delete.
Overtime starts and you have 2 different stories going.
People don't know what you're doing up in that press box. That's
Right.
That's part of it.
Brian, what concerns you most as a Colorado fan or Colorado, someone who covers the team about this matchup with UCF?
The run game for UCF for sure. I think Colorado's been better against the run than they were last year, like much better. But they also haven't seen anybody like R.J. Harvey and really, frankly, his backups too. I mean, they haven't seen any team that can roll out 3-4 backs like UCF does. And Colorado's been mainly hurt on the ground by running quarterbacks. And North Dakota State and Baylor both had some quarterbacks that ran the ball on them. And Baylor's quarterback was not even really a running quarterback. I mean, he had 74 career rushing yards before last Saturday, and had 82 against the Buffs. And so when quarterbacks have decided to run it, they get burned by it. And KJ Jefferson, can certainly do that. So I think the UCF run game is a big concern for Colorado.
On the flip side, as a Colorado fan, what would make you feel confident about this game against UCF?
I'm confident every time Shador Sanders is back there playing quarterback. And I think that with him and that receiving corps that they have, you've got to be really confident what they can do through the air. I don't know, having not seen them live, I don't know how good UCF's pass defense is, but if Shador Sanders has any time at all, he's going to carve up even a good pass defense. And Baylor was number 1 in the country in pass defense going into last week, and he threw for 341 yards. So if you give him time, and he didn't even have time last week, he got sacked 8 times. So he'll carve up people. And so I think you feel confident with that passing game.
Yeah, you hit on it right there. 8 sacks, 16 through the first part of the season. He has been hit a lot over this early part of the season and last season. He doesn't have much time to throw the ball a lot of time.
No, he's used to that. I mean, he got sacked quite a bit, even at Jackson State. It wasn't at this level, but hey, I will say the sacks are down through 4 games than they were last year, so that's an improvement. I mean, I think it was 23 through 4 games last year, and now it's only 16. But a lot of them were really in the latter part of that game on Saturday. I think it was I want to say like a 9-play stretch. He got sacked 5 times. It was something like that. It was over the course of 3 drives, but they got to him a lot. There was only 1 sack in the first half, and they got him 7 times in the second half. So, it's something I know UCF has struggled with getting sacks. They've only got 1 through 3 games, but if I'm UCF, I'm looking at this saying, we might be able to get our sack total up this week.
Knights fans obviously pretty excited about the 3:30 game on Fox and the pregame show, but Colorado is used to this now. They bring a lot of energy no matter where they travel.
Yeah, and Shador Sanders made some waves a little bit at Big 12 Media Day in Vegas when he said we're everybody's Super Bowl, and a lot of people took it wrong, meaning oh, they think so high of themselves. But what he's saying is that everybody gears up to play us, and we know we're a big draw every time. I don't think he was being pompous about it. And, really every week so far they have been. And, in a way, this is I don't want to say it's UCF Super Bowl, but it's a huge, huge game for UCF, right? I don't know if they've had big noon kickoff there. And I know Gus was talking this week about what a big opportunity is for the program. And so, every time they play, it seems like it's a big deal.
Yeah, first time for the Big Noon Show had game day a couple of years ago. I think what helps UCF not putting too much of an emphasis on this game is a week out, they travel to Gainesville to play the Florida Gators, which is pretty high profile for the fan base. A topic that's kind of gotten lost as we talk about the various matchups is special teams. Knight's coming off of 3 block kicks at TCU, but there are some issues as well for Colorado with an injury.
Yeah, their kickoff specialist tore his ACL in that game against Baylor, trying to make a tackle, and even he has struggled to get the ball in the end zone. And Baylor had a 100-yard kickoff return the other day that they actually put 2 yards deep in the end zone, but he took it out and ran it back for a touchdown. So I don't know who's going to kick off for them. Deion Sanders is very frustrated that it seems like every other team in the country can put it through the end zone except for Colorado, so that could be an issue, but their coverage team was pretty good up until last week. So we'll see, if that's an issue. Their field goal kicker, Alejandro Mata, is a good kicker, but he doesn't have much range, and he sort of kicks it low. So I think there's opportunities there to be blocked. There's a lot of times we watch his kicks and like, geez, how did that not get blocked? Because he kicks so low. So it could be an interesting special teams game for sure.
Brian, I have a question for you that's impossible for you to answer, so I'll ask anyway. Travis Hunter averaging over 100 plays a game. Can he possibly keep this up? Like, is the plan for Colorado to have him continue to have this volume of plays and reps week in and week out?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what Travis wants to do, and that's what Deion Sanders is going to let him do. The way they manage it is Travis really doesn't practice much throughout the week, and they use his energy on game day. And, there's a lot of times you'll see, we always see on YouTube their kind of highlight videos from practice every day. And, most of the time you see like a Wednesday, Thursday, and Travis is just kind of sitting there in sweats, and he's kind of goofing off and, messing with guys. He's not practicing. So they manage his load throughout the week and understand that he'll be just fine on game day. But yeah, he'll keep it up because that's what he wants to do. And the impressive thing about him, he played 145 snaps the other night against Baylor. And it was snap number 145 when he made that tackle that jarred the ball loose and won the game. So he doesn't seem to get real tired.
And scouts and coaches you talk to, Brian, where does he project to the next level? Is he a receiver? Is he a cornerback? Has that been decided, sort of where he projects or what his maybe main position will be as you think about the next level?
Well, when you talk to Deion Sanders, he'll say his position is athlete. And frankly, for me, that's what I would do. If I'm an NFL team, I just draft him and I figure it out later. I just want Travis Hunter on my team because I think he can play both. And Deion Sanders made a good point a couple weeks ago that it's impressive what Travis is doing in today's college football because it's so up tempo and there's hardly any time to really catch your breath in between plays. Whereas in the NFL, they huddle up every play. Because Travis is going to have more rest in the NFL than he does in college. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do. But if I'm the NFL, whatever team drafts him, I just pick him, and I'll figure out if he wants to be offense, defense, and I'm sure he'll play both, at least in some packages at the next level.
Mutual respect this week from both head coaches. Gus Malzahn complimentary, saying Deion Sanders does it his way, and Deion Sanders also complimentary. What's it like to be in the media and covering Deion Sanders in this Colorado program under his watch?
Yeah, it's a little interesting. It's different than what we've ever had in the past. There's not as much access as we've had in the past, but it's not too bad. I mean, Deion's pretty good with us, and I think there's sort of a misnomer about him that he's difficult for the media out there, but he's really not. And I would say he's one of the better coaches to work with that I've covered, and I've been here 15 years, so I've covered a lot of coaches at Colorado. If anybody knows CU's history, but he's the only coach I've ever covered that, when the SID is standing up there and says, all right, one more question, Deion will say, no, I'm good, keep going. And he'll do that a lot. And he'll take a few more minutes of questions. And, I heard a lot of things before he got here of, he's going to be terrible after losses. He's the best post-loss coach I've ever dealt with, and that he'll sit there and he'll answer every single question, and he's cordial with you, and he's pretty good. So I think there's a misnomer because there's a few of those videos that pop out that he's attacking a journalist, but he's usually pretty good.
Have you gotten any brushback? I don't recognize you from any of those videos that went viral.
That's a good thing that you don't, but it's been a little while. It's never been really bad, but yes, there's times that you have to be careful with how you ask a question, and even then, it may be not careful enough, or you just never know. It could be the most inane question you're asking, and he brushes back on something. You're like, well, why do you have a problem with that? But it's just kind of the way he is, and you kind of know that. And but I think overall, he has a good relationship with the media, and I feel like I have a good relationship with him.
A lot of humidity in Florida. This team has a lot of players from Florida and Texas, so those guys know heat. But altitude is altitude. They're used to being in Boulder. We're coming out of a hurricane by Saturday. Could be steamy, could be rainy. How much of a factor do you think that plays in this one?
Well, for me, it will be because I'm not used to humidity, and I know I'm actually in Orlando right now. I'm in a hotel here in Orlando. So when I got off the plane, I was like, "Ooh, it is steamy." But they have so many players on this team that are not only from Florida, but Georgia and elsewhere in the South and Texas. That I think they're used to it, and even though they haven't been in it much in the last few months, I think that most of these guys have grown up with it. That it's probably not going to faze them too much.
Brian Howell, beat writer for Buff Zone and the Boulder Daily Camera. Thank you so much for being with us on Sons of UCF Live. Stay safe as you ride out this storm in Orlando. See you up in the press box on Saturday.
All right, you guys as well. We'll see you Saturday.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, thank you. Adam, what do you think? This humidity, though, I still think weather could play a factor in this one.
Yeah, when we talked to Brock Huard again, which you'll see coming up here in a little bit on our YouTube channel, he talked about, some of these guys are used to humidity, but are the big guys used to it, right? Are the big guys on the lines, are they used to this humidity? And yeah, you may be from Florida, you may be from Georgia, from Texas. That doesn't mean you like it. That doesn't mean you thrive in it. So I think there will be a little bit of something there. I think the two things UCF has as advantage is obviously the crowd, being able to make some noise, maybe disrupt some things on that perspective. And obviously the weather. Now we'll see what the weather holds. Will it be overcast? Will it be some rain? Again, you talked about wind earlier. Will it be humid? Typically after a tropical event like this, it sucks all the humidity out of there, right? And, it's just a dry, just sweating on you nonstop. So we'll see what that holds. I got to imagine it'll be some bit of an advantage for UCF though.
Sources, by the way, tell me that there's a forthcoming change to the UCF fight song. You may know some of the words. UCF charge onto the field with our spirit will never yield. Black, and they're going to get rid of gold, and they're putting in the word white.
It doesn't rhyme, though. It doesn't rhyme, though.
Doesn't seem to matter.
Doesn't rhyme.
We welcome in with a new segment, Christian Simmons, you know him from the Pegasus podcast, who takes a look at this week's Not Gold uniforms.
Well, after all the talk of black and gold this week and what kind of black and gold combo UCF is going to use to flex on Colorado, we got maybe the most not black and gold look that UCF has in its arsenal. Knights are going black helmets, black jerseys, and white pants. Decal set is going to be the white stack UCF and a white sword stripe down the middle of the helmet. Listen, this is a clean look. This is a good look. We've got a chrome gold bit in the white sword stripe, which I don't think we've ever seen before. It's usually back. This is a strong, strong look. I love it. I do not love it for this game. If they were wearing this for BYU or Cincinnati or something along those lines, great. I'd be in celebration mode right now. I think it is a great uniform. This is just, it's hard to justify the switch up from Terry Mahajer himself talking about over the years of UCF is going to be the black and gold team of the Big 12, or the only black and gold team in the conference. And then that conference adds Colorado. Colorado comes to the bounce house, and UCF is pretty much ceding black and gold to them. I don't know what Colorado's going to wear. It's going to be unfortunate if it's a whole lot of black and gold, but yeah, love this look. Do not love it for this game.
Thank you, Christian. Black and white charge right through the line. Victory is our cry. VICTORY. Tonight our Knights will shine.
I'll take your word for it. Yeah, look, it's a head scratcher. I don't know why, we haven't rolled out anything of a gold nature here. I don't know if that vaunted supply chain issue has popped up again, Trace. It is a bit of a head scratcher. I don't I'm not one typically to lose my mind over uniforms, but I think this was an opportunity to go with a classic look, sort of the traditional UCF black and gold. And so maybe there's something afoot behind the scenes that we're not aware of, but it is a bit of a head scratcher to not see UCF do something like that. They had plenty of time to prepare, so it's not like oh my goodness, wow, Colorado, wow, they wear that too. Like they had time, so I gotta assume something's going on behind the scenes. If not, it's a head scratcher.
All right, time for some news and notes.
Marcellus Marshall, offensive line. Let's go around the kingdom.
He makes an appearance in these news and notes. Men basketball and women's basketball with their schedule announcements today. Opener for men at Texas Tech. They go to Lubbock on December 31st because who doesn't want to ring in a new year in Lubbock, Texas? Home opener January 5th against Kansas. Women's basketball, they open with TCU on December 21. First roadie January 1st in West Virginia because who doesn't want to begin a new year in Morgantown? Women's soccer, 3 first-half goals they surrendered in Lawrence, Kansas. They are about to lose their first Big 12 game. Right now, they're 3-1-3, 1-0-1 in the Big 12. They stay in Kansas. I don't think the Knights have fared well with the Kansas teams in Big 12 play. They got Kansas State on Sunday. Men's soccer, they had a game scheduled for Friday, but with the uncertainty involving the hurricane, they've moved that to Sunday at 7. They lost their Sun Belt opener 2-0 at James Madison. They welcome in Georgia State on Sunday at 7 at the soccer complex. Volleyball, I mentioned them earlier. They fall in their Big 12 opener at Kansas. They got swept. Did not have a particularly good first set. Did better in the second and third. That second one went 31-29, so that went extra. That was an exciting match. But they fall. They go to Kansas State Friday at 7:30. All right, some watch lists. You saw Marcellus right there. Jason Witten Award. Adam, do you know what that involves?
Isn't that like a man of the year situation? I feel like person of the year, player of the year, something like that.
College player demonstrating exceptional leadership, courage, and integrity.
That's what I think of when I think of Jason Witten. There we go.
Linebacker Ethan Barr. Campbell Trophy, recognizing premier scholar athletes.
No, Deshaun Pace. Wow.
Yeah. So Eric Lopez dealing with some family matters this week. So we welcome in a guest on Around the Kingdom, the aforementioned Christian Simmons from the Pegasus podcast. You can find that episode on our YouTube channel. Here's a little clip.
Yeah, it's interesting. I actually, looking back at, and this is again not going to matter for anything in the Big 12, but in UCF's 10 years in the AAC, the years they started 2-0 in conference, they played for or won the conference. The years they didn't start 2-0 in conference, they didn't. So I know it feels like we're early in the conference race, but this is a big, big game. It's not just the hype. It's that if they actually go out there and win this game, which feels possible, there's suddenly, as teams start to fall off, they're emerging as one of those teams in this Big 12 title race that people are going to start talking about.
It's a good little stat right there on starting off 2-0 in conference play.
Yeah, again, this is a big one. I know there's questions on the mailbag about, is this more important than Florida? You win conference games. It was you and I were talking earlier. It was the old Georgia Louis formula, right? Mm-hmm. You win your conference games. This is an opportunity to get another win in conference where you're seeing teams beat each other up every week. UCF has an opportunity now to go clear 2-0. Again, a nice home win against a Colorado team. That'll be there. A tough loss for them. That'll put them back a little bit, right? So I think this is a big one, and you want to come out and you want to go 2-0 in conference.
I think you teased it online that you may have added to the Mailbag Open. It is that time again.
It is. I don't know if you're gonna like this one, Trace.
Why is it? It's on me. You added me.
I'm concerned.
You never add.
So it's a mailbag. So what?
So what? Do you know whose mailbag that is?
It's that time again. Time to open the Brian W. Peterson Sons of UCF mailbag.
Literally, I mean, I saw this guy's whole ass.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did this. I zoomed in.
I have honked the horn before.
Yo! Because I don't really like any of these guys. None of them are my guys.
Maybe a pony.
Giddy up.
Oh, hell yeah.
As long as it makes me laugh, that's really all I care about. So it was more Mike than you on that one.
Well, I thought it was going. You were slamming Mike for something he said. Then I
did
looped into it. Women's soccer gave up another goal. Now down 4-0 in Lawrence, Kansas at Cap Veg 1.
What would you rather watch, women's soccer right now or that mailbag?
Let's retire that open. It's gone to like a minute. Cap Veg 1 leading in the pool tracker right up near the top. Congrats. More important to the UCF brand, beat Colorado with Fox there or beat Florida at the Swamp. I have maintained the conference games are more important. I think everything that goes on Saturday, the pregame show, the big matchup with Colorado, for me, it is about that conference game. Matters more to me than SEC 19 or whatever that network is that's airing UCF at Florida. I know it's important. I'm not dismissing the importance of it. I just don't think it is as important.
SEC the Ocho, right? I think for me, Trace, you said it best. Like we can lose to Florida and still have all of our goals in front of us, right? And I think that's kind of my lens here. Do I want to beat Florida? Absolutely. Do I want to make sure that we run the state? Absolutely. But again, I think the goals that we have run through us beating Colorado and other Big 12 teams. So I would go Colorado on this one.
By the way, what was Mike even talking about there in that clip?
Do you want to know? I mean, do you really want to know? I mean, I can tell you. There was there's a viral social media post of a Dolphins player who was trying to run, and a Seattle Seahawk player was tackling him and grabbed his pants, if you will, and all of a sudden they fell down. And so there was a picture of this gentleman without said pants on. And if you listen to that segment, a Cow of the Week was issued. Initially, Mike was issuing it to I don't even know who. It ended up going to Brian David Peterson for sending Mike that photograph, and then went back.
Well,
to
why
Mike.
don't you include a clip from Brian in there? Why do I got to be the one responding?
Well, he didn't say that.
Nothing to do with any of that.
He didn't say that. I mean, and then Mike, for some reason, zoomed in. So both of those two share Cow of the Week. And
but I feel like I got the more heat on that
really?
particular.
You think you saying I honked the horn?
I think the association. I don't know. I think the association.
Is it the order?
Yes. At Rock Solid Dennis, are the Knights going to win? I am reasonably confident that they are going to win, and I hope we do not have a Navy repeat.
I hope so. I've got them in our Around the Kingdom scheduled draft this week. I think I have 8 confidence points in my confidence pool with UCF Mike. So I very much need a win on Saturday, and I hope the Knights pull through for me.
Scott 88513 on a scale of 1 to 10. How confident are you that UCF is going to win Saturday? 6.
I need it, so I'm gonna have to go with a 9 again. I think I went 9 against TCU and it worked, so let me go 9 again because I very much need a win here.
At Lonely Bee UCF. In which quarter will UCF's lead over Colorado cause Fox to switch to another game? I like that.
First, shout out to Mario, who is stuck in Hawaii and can't quite make the game this weekend. What a terrible trip that
That's
must
an
be.
unfortunate. You're coming to the game, though, right?
I will be there. Yeah, such an unfortunate turn for Mario. I say the 5th quarter, Mario. I think that you don't turn off Deion Sanders. I think they keep that thing on the entire time.
At M_M and UCF. When the thunderstorms delay the game, what are the other available slots and what channel will show the broadcast? FS2, FS3, FS4 that you won't have pre-programmed in any DVR or anything like that.
Don't count out Fox Sports Business or Fox Business or whatever the heck they call that channel. I think you might want to find that one.
At Golden Knight _2. Always send it in a question. What was more surprising over that weekend? TCU getting blown out and their head coach getting ejected, or Colorado's comeback versus Baylor? I think the nature of Colorado's comeback makes it more surprising, but coach getting ejected. Boy, that was a poor performance by TCU. They gave up 100 points in 2 games.
Yeah, I was asking Mike on the show. I don't know if I've ever seen a football coach get ejected. Obviously, you've seen baseball all the time. You've seen in basketball. I can't think of that. I don't think I've ever seen that happen in a game I've watched. I'm sure it has. I couldn't recall a time a football coach got ejected, but I mean, it just goes to show you the hangover effect. UCF saw this last year. You lose a close game, at home against Baylor, and then it takes a while for you to kind of get things, up and ready. TCU thinks they have that game won against UCF. They don't. They go to a team in SMU who's hyped up, ready to play them. They're not ready. You can kind of see how these things happen. But I was more surprised. I think I was more surprised at TCU. I've seen comebacks before. I've seen Colorado do weird, wild stuff. I was surprised TCU laid as much of an egg as they did.
At Black Gold _Ed, what was surprising to you and SJ Tui's in-depth disclosures about NIL and how it works at the Kingdom? To be candid with you, Black Gold _Ed, I did not see all of that. I saw your question late, so I'm not as well versed on this question as
I did. And the questions are the answers within the question, Trace, and that's disclosures, right? I mean, there's a lot that he shared that again, I don't know what's allowed to be shared.
It's worth catching. It's worth catching that interview.
Yeah, I don't know what's allowed to be shared. I don't know what can be public, right? So I think any news is news to me. But he certainly wasn't just canned with his answers, right? He definitely offered some insight. That space he did with JP Gilbert, very similar, right? He offered a lot of insight on specific contracts, players, negotiations. So I think the answers in the question there was just the level of disclosure.
2 letters, 2 words. Roberts, do you think the pass-heavy scheme TCU ran against UCF was good preparation for the game against Colorado? No, I don't. I think Sanders is a whole different animal than Josh Hoover.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, right? I think Josh Hoover, while a good quarterback, I think Shador Sanders, or as Coach Lounsbury calls him, Shakur Sanders. I think he's.
Hey,
I think
how
he's
does that line up with Utah's coach? You played that during Around the Kingdom. Who said
Shador? Yes, Shador. No, I think.
Shador,
Look, I think Hoover's a good quarterback, but I think it's a whole different ball of wax. So, and I also think that you need some time to get used to the scheme. Andy had a great suggestion in the chat about more of a nickel heavy front, or I guess I don't want to say back end because I'm going to clip that at some point, right? But the back half more heavy on the passing side. So we'll see how that shapes up with Colorado. But I can't clip myself, Trey, so you're fine.
I'm pretty sure you're not going to clip yourself. At Ryan_A_Roy. I was thinking about the first half defense versus TCU and how UCF stepped up during the second half. Could it be? Oh, this is cynical. Could it be that KJ was bad in practice all those weeks leading up to the TCU game, so the defense never was really tested until they faced Hoover? I don't know about all that.
Yeah, I guess that's a good conspiracy theory, right? I think
conspiracy.
If you look at a couple of the plays, it looks like UCF's DBs on some of those are just out of position, right? There's one where Sheldon Arnold is running like 4 feet away from where the ball is thrown. That the one tight touchdown pass in the end zone. That I think was Savion Williams. Looks like Braden Marshall just cut inside versus outside. So I think it's more technique, more fundamental than anything to do with KJ.
Last Floridian 89. Will the UCF defense have more sacks or turnovers Saturday versus Colorado? If they can get a lot of pressure, could lead to the turnovers. I will go sacks. Break it open big time this game.
I'll go sacks as well. I mean, Shador, I think, only has 1 interception on the year. I mean, so despite the fact that he's kind of running around a ton, he's relatively at least safe with the ball in that respect. So I guess at this point I have to go sacks, seeing they've given up what I guess are averaging 4 a game right now. So let me go sacks on that.
UCF Knights win. Malachi Lawrence had 2 tackles total in 3 games as a full-time defensive end. Do you think he would be better used as a third down pass rush specialist like last year? I just know he needs to get going, and I think they need him, especially this week. So I don't care how they use him.
Yeah.
Just
I'm all for it, but who do you replace him with, right? Who do you take him off? Who do you put on the field in the first and second down? I don't know if we have that. If we have that person, great. I don't know if we have that person that we can throw on there in first and second down that can stop the run, stick a little bit of pressure, and then allow Malachi to come in on third down. So if we have him, great. Let's roll that out.
At Riley Carey 16. Do you think people are stupid for underestimating RJ? And we'll combine that with at Tan the Man. Predict a stat line for RJ versus Colorado that would put him in Heisman conversation. I asked RJ during the Monday media availability if the higher profile stage, if he needed to do something at another level. And he said one game at a time, and he's going to do what he's doing. I do think, though, that they not only need that win, I think he needs to stand out in a meaningful way to capture some eyeballs.
So first part of the question, I don't think they're stupid. I think they're just lazy, right? I think I saw a graphic on social media that was just like the 8 running backs, right? I think it's just laziness on that front. What's the stat line, Trace? Again, I think, guys like Brock Huard, who we talked to again, was super effusive in his praise of RJ Harvey. I think, the new phrase on social media is ball knowers, right? I think people who know football know that RJ is a good player. But I think he needs like a 250, 3 touchdown performance, I think, to really kind of vault himself into that category.
At Rejoice Knights, referencing the UNLV quarterback who has redshirted himself. Player opts out. She calls it literally quits. She has a couple of questions. I'm not sure I have all the answers for this. Does the player still have to dress out and be on the sidelines?
I think no is the answer to that.
Can player be dismissed from team for a refusal to play?
I don't know if it's dismissed. They can be sent away. I'm not sure. Dismiss is an interesting term because I'm not sure how that. If you say, hey, you're off the team, that's one thing. I don't know how the scholarship works. So can you be kicked off the team? Yes. Can you take your scholarship? That I don't know.
That's the next question. Can scholarship be pulled? And can a player enter the portal if they're dismissed or not in good academic standing?
Yes. You can enter the portal if you want, or you can say you're into the portal. The portal window's only open every so often. But Trace, that whole situation was just crazy.
Bizarre.
Nobody
has UNLV ever been in the news more than that?
Nobody looks good coming out of that. The school, the collective, the agent, the kid, like everybody's got some.
It's a lesson for everybody else.
Some finger to point here, except for the NCAA, who said, "Hey, we're just watching. Let us know if you need us." Right? And the NCAA has nothing.
What a useless statement they released on that. At UCF Nightingale. By the way, is UCF Nightingale our official fact checker? Was this the?
Listen, I mean, we add to the Suns' arsenal every week here. So if we need to add one more, I mean, I'll get a hat whipped up.
let's say the hurricane comes, it's coming. Do we know that we have generators to keep the stadium going? We'll be all right. But if not, do we all bring ours and we can sing all the songs? So,
I don't know what all the songs mean. I don't have a generator to offer, but I think we're going to be okay. So I feel good about it. Why don't you just Nightingale just show up, be loud, and root for the Knights' victory. Leave the generator at home.
All right. I thought we were doing pretty good on time. I don't want to upset Clay. He's watching the clock. But it is that time, Adam. What
People are
is
really
it?
upset about that overtime. I don't understand.
Yeah, overtime. New audio segment. You find it wherever you get your downloadable content. Little after show that we do following Around the Kingdom. Adam, what's in the box?
Well,
promo code TEN1215 and Charlie Hustle. Also, congrats to Matt Dolan, who won the $100 gift card to Alumni Hall. So, Matt, congratulations. Hope you enjoy that. He had an awesome car shade. And the reason I said cow is this question, Trace, is how did the first person know they could milk a cow?
Why? What was
okay,
the question? I'm just going to be very measured in my response because I don't want to end up being added to the clip reel here.
How did the first person know they could milk a cow? It's a fair question.
I don't know. Chicken and egg here.
Is it though? Is that how that works?
I don't know. I don't want to ponder this. What do you think?
I don't know, but Matt Dolan actually has the best answer, which
Matt?
is hold on. I clicked the wrong button. Second question is, who thought? What's that taste like? That's another solid question. This is why this man wins. Gift cards to Alumni Hall.
I don't know. I'm taking a fifth on this week's because I don't want to.
I have follow-up questions that you want to answer. Have you ever milked a cow?
I think, in school when I was a kid for some sort of field trip or project or something. I didn't like that at all.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to embarrass me with?
I'm doing some research here while I'm trying to monitor the chat. Andy with a great question.
Andy resurfaces during football season. I'm not entirely sure I understand his sense of humor, but I do enjoy it most of the time until he drags me into some sort of random thing.
He does. He really likes to make memes and photographs out of you. I can't yet find the answer of who was the first person to milk a cow. So
I want to thank my nephew Kyle for joining us from Colorado. He will be in about 48 hours.
Trace, Colorado. Thank you.
Colorado. He'll be making good on those wagers that he lost. I want to thank Coach Lounsbury. Good to join us again this week. We really appreciate Coach's contributions to the Sons of UCF. And Brian Howell, who was hunkering down, riding out that hurricane ahead of the storm here in Orlando. He works for Buff Zone and Boulder Daily Camera. Going to be a lot of people up in that press box, a lot of scouts, a lot of recruits, a lot of fans. You're coming to the game. Mike's coming to the game. Hey, we may all get together somewhere.
Yeah, I think most of the Suns contingent will be on site at some point in time on Saturday. So if you happen to see us walking around, stop by, say hello, and we'd love to meet you.
All right. With apologies to Clay Pasco, 3 minutes over. I want to thank you for being with us for this week's Sons of UCF Live. For Adam Eaton, I'm Trace Trolko. Go Knights!
Stay safe, everybody. Charge on.
I'm Kobe Hudson, and thanks for watching the Sons of UCF.
It's going to be an interesting matchup with him.
Be a big week for Kobe.
Need another wide receiver to step up, or Randy Pittman to do good.
Well, check out that Brock Huard interview, which is out right now to learn more about